Okay. All right, Brendan. Well, I appreciate you getting to know me a little bit and answering those questions and going over that quiz, which I will say I'm very impressed with your answers because for someone who's never worked in the business, that was certainly, really, really excellent job. So we talked a little bit before we started recording about the industry and positions and things of that nature. So I'm going to go through some questions and just, answer as honestly as possible. Tell me your thoughts. And so just tell me what brought you in today.
Well, I'm looking for a nice job, a full-time position, and I have some experience in sales. I understand that property management is a great industry with sort of unlimited possibilities, and I think it's something I'd like to get into.
Awesome. And are you currently working?
I am. I'm doing some paid research. My wife runs she works at a historical society, and I've been fortunate enough to get some sort of contract work from them over the last 6 months where I do paid research, specifically with genealogy.
Gotcha. And so it's contract work, you're looking for something more stable?
Absolutely, something more stable and something maybe a little bit more challenging and fast-paced that would get me out of the house.
This is definitely a fast-paced business, especially busy season. And then so before the contract research, what were you doing?
I worked at a bar. I worked there twice over the last few years. Once as the bar manager, and then more recently as a bartender and sort of a wine and spirit specialist.
Gotcha. And so what did you like most about that job?
I like working with people, and bartending and customer service go hand in hand. And a large part of what I did there was sales-based. We had a lot of boutique products, and so I would get to work with a lot of customers, a lot of tourists, and explain the products to them and help them find what they were looking for.
What did you least enjoy about that job?
Oh, I don't know. They're probably the cleanup,
Right.
getting my hands dirty.
Hey,
We all have to do it eventually, but
Sure.
it's not something I want to do the rest of my life.
I completely understand. That's what I go home for. At the end of the day, I clean here all the time, but going home, it's definitely where the cleaning goes. Okay, so tell me the best job you ever had.
Golly, well, I worked at Mint Julep Tours here in Louisville for a few years. I started there as a tour guide, doing bourbon trail tours. I know a lot about the local area and about bourbon, the bourbon industry specifically. And it was fun working there. Helping people on their leisure time is a great thing. I wound up moving into the office and working as a reservations coordinator, doing some of the administration side of it, and kind of helping people plan their leisure time. So not
Gotcha.
a lot of unhappy customers, when they're planning their free time.
Heck no. So tell me, why'd you leave?
Well, they had a sort of a large top-heavy organization, and both of the owners' children graduated university, and they hired them because they couldn't find a job anywhere else,
Right.
which meant that there wasn't exactly a lot of room for old Brendan here.
Gotcha.
So I moved along, and that's okay because it opened new doors.
Well, you mentioned having customer service experience, and obviously you have a wealth of it. What do you enjoy least about customer service?
Well, nobody likes getting yelled at by an unhappy customer. That's always unfortunate when that
Sure.
happens, but it kind of goes with the territory.
Sure. Okay, so tell me about a time when you went above and beyond for a customer.
Oh gosh, there are a lot of times. Okay, I remember one time when I was a tour guide. It was the middle of winter, right around the holidays, and we had a tour bus that was packed full, and we headed out on the trail, going to some distilleries, but the distilleries were closed because of the bad weather. So what do you do with a bus full of people that came for a tour, have already paid for it, and they want their money's worth? Well, I managed to find some things along the way that were open, that I knew about, and kind of go off the itinerary and brought them to some other places, paid for some tastings, we'll work it out later, and made sure everybody at least got a full day's worth of adventure on the Bourbon Trail.
Fantastic. And hey, I would have been happy. It's all about, as soon as you whipped out the bourbon, I would have been
You got
good.
to do something. Feed me a drink, and that'll
Just a couple
smooths
shots
a lot
of
of things
bourbon.
over.
Just try this, exactly. So tell me about a time, well, I guess that's the one you just told me. Let's see. So that would be how you resolved a customer complaint, or do you have another good example of a time you resolved a customer complaint?
Oh, yeah, there were a lot of times at the bar when I worked there when, something would go wrong with a credit card transaction and they were unhappy, they didn't think that they'd, paid for this or maybe to charge their card twice or something. And when that happens, I'm all about just kind of letting people talk, listen to them,
Right.
get it all out. and bring it on me, I can take it, and then, assure them that we're gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that they're happy and that we can resolve the situation.
Fantastic. Let's see. Can you think of a time when you were praised by your supervisor or by a customer?
I can remember one time in particular when I was working at the wine cellar. I didn't know they were going to do this at all, but some tourists came in. They had a lot of questions, and I spent a good amount of time with them going over. They have a big wall of different bourbons in there, and some of them were real expensive. And of course, I'm trying to make a sale, but I was kind of listening to them. What do you like? Let me tell you what you should like.
Right.
This same company makes this product. You might like this one, and spent a little bit of time with them. They left with a box of product, and it was good for the store. And they wrote a letter to the owner, and said, "Boy, you just don't get this when you go to big cities and big stores. This is a really nice experience. This is great getting out and meeting locals." And somebody was so responsive and friendly. So
That's fantastic.
yeah, I felt really good.
I'm definitely of the same mindset, especially when you're selling and then there's upselling. You can't always upsell. In college, I worked at a tanning salon. A tanning lotion is, I swear, you need to take out a second mortgage on some of them to buy them, but it's not always the best product for what the customer is looking for. So, you gain someone's trust, more or less that way. And so clearly you did with them.
There are limits too.
Oh, for
Or you
sure.
wanna push them. So.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're the first person that a prospect sees when they come into our office. How are you going to persuade them to live in our community?
I'm going to listen to what they're looking for. I want to know a little bit more about them. I'm going to have some conversation with them, a little bit of banter, try and hear what they're interested in. Do they have kids? Do they have pets? Where do they work? Or is it close to where they are? Let them know about what we have to offer that would be in their best interest.
That's great. Now, I realize you haven't worked in the multifamily this industry before, but you did mention some sales and customer service experience. So have you ever had any type of professional development, classes, training, anything that you really like to utilize that has really stuck out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was a lot of times, I know that when I was a security guard back in, right during college and after, I worked at a public library, and so I did a lot of customer service there. And we had a lot of continuing education as far as customer service goes. And one thing that they taught me there was kind of the Disney method of customer service, which is nobody leaves unhappy. You're going to work as hard as you possibly can to resolve whatever their issue is, and they're going to know that you're working very hard to resolve it. Sometimes just the knowledge of your hard work and your willingness to go the extra mile is enough to placate them.
Hey, as long as it's magical.
The
The last time I went to Disney, if they told me it was going to be magical, I swear I was going to show them magic.
They pay a lot of money for that. They want their.
I was going to pay somebody to stop asking me if I was having a magical day. Well, and then like I said, you haven't worked in this industry before, but I kind of explained to you the standard, hierarchy of a property and then the industry. Where do you see yourself in 2 years?
Golly, it seems like there's some potential for growth in this industry, and with my educational background and that sort of thing, I think that I would like to, maybe go a little bit further with this, assistant manager of a complex, something like that. It would be a job I'd be well suited to.
And then this question is not on my list, but I like to ask people, so I'm curious, is what is your management style? And I don't mean, I guess there's probably a better way to phrase it, not necessarily how you manage a group of people, but what do you look for in a manager, a good manager?
Well, what I look for in a manager is kind of the way I like to do it. It's leading by example.
Sure.
And leading from the front. And if you're not willing to do it yourself, then you can't really expect somebody else to do it. There are no special privileges. The privilege is to be the leader. So.
And hey, and like I say, it's all your fault when it goes wrong. So, and then I mentioned, we would look at an apartment, and I'll kind of go over some of the things there. But I think that you and I have talked, and we've gone through the quiz, and we've answered all these questions, and then I will follow up with ownership as far as my thoughts and all of that.
Sure.
I'm gonna turn the camera off now, unless you want to smile and wave, and hopefully it recorded. Yay!